as we hop here into the game. Now you guys will notice right away, if this is your first time seeing DreamHack, you might be like, what's up with this overlay? It is different. Oh, I forgot they moved that. There we go. It is a little bit different. It's a little bit odd, but it's tailored towards DreamHack. So all the information you normally want will all be displayed up here. You can see there's still like workers, army value, and all these wonderful things. The only thing that's really different is it's on the top instead of the bottom. So love it, hate it, it's what we're rocking with. It's DreamHack Open 2014. It's DreamHack Winter. Welcome to the cast, ladies and gentlemen. Spawning here in the bottom left corner of the map, it's my honor to introduce the Red Zerg player, JaeDong.
In upper right, as the Blue Protoss, it's TCM's first.
And I hate to be a nuisance, but I need to remind you about the webcam 6 micro tonight.
Okay.
But, okay, getting into this set. This is regular StarCraft. We just sat through a lot of fun for Legacy of the Void. We had some pretty fun show matches that got played. Big shoutouts to Trace, Hearthstone, Guitar Cheese, Caliber, Arium Intense, Cats, and State for all playing those out for us. We did not get to cast all of those out, sadly, but we will finish them up here in future's time, and we will make sure to pay everybody their appropriate prizes. But going back to normal worker count, Zombie Grub, not 12, but 6. I gotta get back into the swing of things, man.
It's so weird. It's like the game hasn't even started and it's 2 minutes. What's up with that?
Yeah. So all the times that we've just witnessed are basically thrown out the window, guys.
Yeah, right. So like this webcam thing is a XSplit issue. I actually have to do it every single game.
I think so. We could try restarting Skype after, but I don't think we'll solve it.
Bastards. Micro's hard, man.
Yeah, trying things with XSplit 2.0, guys. We had we've moved from one webcam issue to another, and I think a lot of this just comes down to less of it being XSplit, but actually more of it being Skype, as this has been an issue in the past. So if you see random frame drops on the stream, it's because we've forgotten, and we'll take care of that. But I am pretty much a stickler for quality, so it shouldn't happen too much, I hope. But okay, so as far as this goes, like we've been seeing First tear it up all over the place. Like he plays in a lot of the weekly cups there in Europe. He's not like a lot of the Koreans who kind of bounce between regions. Like he's been stationed in Europe for a long time. He's kind of become like a staple part of the community, and we've seen him play countless Zerg players, but nobody quite like JaeDong.
First and JaeDong must have played recently. I feel like I hear these two names together, and they've been in a couple of DreamHacks together as well. Of course, I could just check, like ULAC and not be lazy.
Well, my point of this is, though, like, whether they've played recently or not, First is more inclined and likely to play, like, Snoot or, say, Targa or somebody prominent from the European ladder / tournament scene than really JaeDong, because you're never going to see JaeDong go out of his way to play a European tournament. Like, from Korea, no way, no how. Yeah.
That's certainly a good point. So First hasn't had any, I guess, like, really super recent. But JaeDong getting 2 Lings in here is going to be able to do some scouting. Honestly, not a whole lot of damage at all. But even then, like as long as they survive, they're actually really useful. Scouting-wise and also just forcing First to micro like this.
So we do have some requests to post results from other series here in chat. I say absolutely go for it. The idea is that this is all live. DreamHack's this really awesome festival. It's a good time. And if you guys are multi-twitching it up and you're watching the other series, by all means, let us know what's going on. That way we as well know what the results are looking like, because there's a bit of bouncing around. But the full schedule for today has been posted on the DreamHack website. You can see exactly when, which stream will be casting what. So if you want to watch us, Pewee, the DreamHack main stream, or Winter StarCraft, I mean, every match is displayed on the DreamHack website. And I think that's actually really cool that they did that for once. Because normally what it is, guys, is everybody just kind of like fighting for scraps. There's a Google document, and it's like first come, first serve a lot of the time. Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. So I guess I just see the 2 names like in the same tournament or something, but they actually haven't played for pretty much a full year, at least anything notable enough for like ULAC to post. So there's actually no like, well, JaeDong hasn't had the best form against First now. Like, no, nothing like that. So we actually don't know. Of course, on the topic of form, though, JaeDong has been like, a lot of people say that he's kind of like wishy-washy and like, he's either on or he's off. That's actually kind of JaeDong just in general, even when he was on a tear last year. But people seem pretty confident in his abilities for the DreamHack at least, and we did actually lose a couple of the biggest heavy hitters, Innovation Sue, someone else, forget, having to drop out, of course. Raises his chances a little bit.
I guess. I mean, the thing is, like, I feel very strongly about JaeDong the same way I do about, like, say, MMA, right? Where you're like, okay, this guy might not be your favorite to win, but damn if he doesn't have the potential to every single time. And I don't mean that in like a, oh, well, just in case, cover my bases. I mean, like, I really do believe in JaeDong a lot of the time I see him play. He does play this game quite fantastic. But anyways, get on top of first, third with a nice amount of lanes. Should be able to get a cancel here, bare minimum. Get a pylon too.
Yeah. This is a really great read from JaeDong. Of course, without speed, this looks a little silly. But, you know, it's absolutely, like, A-okay. I don't think there's any way for first to really defend that. And he has the gateways. Warfade only just finished. It was pretty perfectly timed.
Yeah. First, though, on the other hand, like, I was kind of curious what he was going into with this. Like, we had some sentries come out. The third base was a little bit kind of questionable because he didn't have a lot of units to support it. But with weapon upgrades on the way in the Twilight Council, I can't help but imagine this is anything except standard. You know, lots of Blink Stalkers plus 2 weapons. I mean, that's where this matchup has really gone to lately.
Yeah. Looks like he's waiting just a little bit to actually throw down that third. He hasn't... Well, he's not really able to use, like, 1,000 minerals. He's only on 3 gateways again. But... waiting for, I guess, those last 2 sentry warp-ins till he feels really safe. And, you know, honestly, that earlier Nexus, it was early, so it's not like it wasn't like a 10-minute Nexus and it died. Like, that's a pretty big deal. It's really setting you behind, but don't get him an 840 is also, you know, pretty good as well.
It is a pretty big deal, though, in terms of trying to get your gateway units up. This third base economy comes into great effect. I think one of the best examples I could ever display of this was there was a game from one of the San Jose one of the IEM qualifiers a little while back with Puck versus Scarlet, and Puck actually managed to sneak out like a 6-minute Nexus or something. Oh boy, did that send him sailing through the rest of the game. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter who you're playing. Just in general, Protoss versus Zerg, you know, whether it's Koreans or foreigners aside, a third base is a pretty big deal if you can get away with it. But JaeDong beat that back pretty quickly.
Yeah, even against Terran. The only way you really race or match if you don't see it is PvP. But that third going unscouted happens a lot. It seems silly, but it is. The Overlord's on a position. You don't bother sending a Ling or Marine over there, and it actually gets finished unless you have the cannon. So it's actually really easy to defend after that. But first, pushing out here. This is always a bit of a poke. I mean, it's on the back of 5, now soon to be 7 gateways.
Yeah, there's no warping potential here is the reason I question this, though. Like, we don't have a pylon here on the front lines.
Yeah.
Like, how much is this dedicating? So, kind of fakes this big gateway aggression and follows it up with Dark Templar. It's a cool move, but we'll see if this is enough to upset someone like JaeDong. Force Fields come down in quite large abundance. Sadly, at 1 sentry, a little bit awkward, but he can always recall if this starts getting hairy, and I really think he should. There we go.
Yeah. Probably not even worth it to stay that, like, the 5-10 seconds longer that he did, really. It's you know, it can be an attack that they under defend against because they're like, oh, you're just gonna recall anyways, and it can be an attack that actually, like, you know, snowballs. Even if they aren't planning on actually going for like 7 warbands or even have a pylon, suddenly they see an opportunity and they plant one down and you're in trouble. JaeDong going into swarm hosts after this.
I'm just gonna ooh and ah at this. I don't know. Every time we've ever seen JaeDong really go swarm host, it never seems like it's his game.
Okay, so I was gonna bring up that point too, but I guess in a different light. So usually, like JaeDong, like especially like a year ago, I'd be like, please, for the love of God, do not go swarm host. It doesn't fit your style. You're terrible at them. But really, you know, he started to get good at them like maybe like 6 months ago, and nowadays he's actually pretty good with them.
Okay, well, the reason I'm oohing and ahhing is partially the JaeDong factor, but also the fact that I just feel like this isn't what you do versus mass Blink Stalkers. This is what you do when you see like Colossus or a Robo or something that's going to force like a staler game out. Because for first sake, like, he's going to hit when JaeDong's got about 7, like the first 7 swarms out. Like, he'll beat back to that first wave of Locust, and if he blinks on top of the swarm hosts, they're dead. It takes so much extra damage from those Stalkers.
Of course, JaeDong, that is always a risk. JaeDong's trying to depend on the roaches as well, but this is a cool little move from first. He might get the 4th as well as a lot of drones. Yeah,
there's actually no detection for first gen front lines. No observers out here, so you actually can't deal with the swarmers the way I had just described. So this may actually work out quite perfectly. You know, the harass of the Dark Temple at the same time in the main and the natural.
Yeah, there we go. I think that was the first swipe, so Overseer should be morphed in soon. There we go.
Yeah, this base should definitely... it's definitely go down, but there's still the recall potential here.
Yeah, so I mean, the army's not going to be sacrificed for this. If there was no units, go ahead and attack, and kill it, get out.
First, though, racking up those drone kills now. You know, he killed those queens off pretty quick, and all right, now this starts getting cleaned up.
Yeah, you know, the drone kills were actually pretty nice, but it's really not the biggest deal. He still has 4 bases. He's still a swarm host, which buy you an awful amount of time.
He lost all those sentries. I didn't realize he had an escape, so 10 sentries dead from that large count he had before. No longer really has the force fields to deal with the Locust. I mean, it's pretty casual to just drop 3 force fields down and walk away from a whole wave of Locusts like this, thus rendering the swarm host innate. But inert, but without those there, he's got no presence on this side of the field.
Yeah, I was wondering how much JaeDong was going to dedicate into Swarm Host. He's at 10 right now, going up to 12. This is a bit of a nuisance, too. I want to throw down static defense as soon as he gets enough money. But he also made a bunch of roaches here, so I don't know if this is because, DTs are on the field and Swarm Hosts are pretty terrible unless you have static defense against, harass, or if he's actually going for that style where, you pressure one area with Swarm Hosts and you attack otherwise with the roaches.
Well, the stalker count is starting to get quite up there. Again, this is a strategy where when you go mass blink stalkers, you have to go a lot of them. You can't just stop midway through. But trying to transition out to Colossus at this point, it's kind of appropriate. Like if you are going to keep going with the blink stalkers, you have to keep going with the blink stalkers. You don't get to stop and tech swap, not until after you've taken a great engagement, which Force really hasn't up to this point. Nice blink forward though, it catches a couple more of these roaches. A couple of stalkers may catch the Swarm House. No, they do get that burrow off. But at the same time, he hasn't let up. The aggression in the main continues. The Dark Temper kills yet another queen. There's some zealots here too. JaeDong torn in 2 different places right now, pretty heavily. And of course, there's that threat of the 4th, should this decide to warp in.
Oh, big recall had to happen. He was completely surrounded. But he's on 4 bases. Still harassing. It's still alright. JaeDong, the important thing is that JaeDong, whether he's going for like mass Swarm Host, it doesn't look like it. He's getting a lot of blings down too.
Yeah, he's actually got quite a large army supply lead is the thing. Despite losing a couple of drones here and there, he still maintained 4 bases, is saturated nicely. And, okay, roaches inflate your supply a little bit, granted. He's still got enough to work with, though, is the thing. If you do get split like that, the worst thing is not having any units to send to the main or anything to defend that 3rd. But
yeah, that is... I was gonna say the JaeDong is not being able to accrue a bank, so there's no mass static defense going down. Not only in the main but also to protect these Swarm Hosts. Vipers are on the way, and they are cutting it really, really close. He has nothing else that'll really take on the Colossus. Oh crap! Oh, Locust bug out right there, so they don't get any damage done to the Blink Stalkers, unfortunately.
Bug out. Get it?
Because they're like bugs.
Well, the big Zealot warping in the main kills even more drones, and I don't know if this time JaeDong will be able to defend it with the reinforcements. Like these Zealots they can focus in on that hive. They do have +3 weapon upgrades.
There's a couple of Swarm Hosts that are trying to defend from the natural, which are okay. Still trying to save all the queens that he can as well. I mean, he's still... How many? 46 drones. Now, every single time, JaeDong has been replacing them, no problem, like 12 at a time, but that is what is usually a very like a bigger bank. Maybe at like up to 2,000 if you didn't have to do that every single time he was harassed. And first to playing this game out pretty much to a T.
Actually, I'm thinking back on this. We kind of like talked about these Swarm Hosts in terms of JaeDong's court, but how many times have we seen first fight Targa or Snoot or like any of these other very renowned Swarm Host players, right? The fact that he's kept his calm through all this, I mean, normally we talk about it's like, oh, he's performing quite well. He hasn't lost units of this, that, and the other, but I mean, this is kind of his what he's used to. Like when he came to Europe, this is what he got trained for, right? It wasn't roaches, it wasn't crazy aggression, it was dealing with Swarm Hosts.
That's absolutely true. JaeDong is playing a slightly different style than just like set it and forget it, but the objective is still like kind of the same. Like you pressure them, you force them to like actually defend, never to be able to like set up Swarm Hosts with the gold, for instance, and then you get up a really big army behind it. The only question is that like this might, it's gonna come to a head, and like can either player win when it comes to that final battle? JaeDong is actually up to 3-3, something we rarely even see, even like normal set and forget at Swarm Host games. So his army is actually still very good, as you pointed out before, and it's still true now. The army supply is there for JaeDong.
Yeah, I mean, the overall supply, too, it's not looking too bad, but a lot of this comes down to the actual units available in play. The problem is, like, okay, you look at JaeDong's bank, it's actually not that impressive. When you consider this is normally a situation where you want to see the Zerg play with more like, 5k, 5k, almost no resources lost. You use those Swarm Hosts to a great extent, but instead he's left with, like, a really heavy Roach army versus this many Colossus versus Storms on top of it. I mean, no, there's not Immortals, but these are still going to melt.
Yeah, he's gonna be very delicate. Like, if he just runs in, even if he kills like Colossus, his army will die first.
Oh,
so, yeah,
nice abducts.
Those are awesome abducts. Like, I've never seen that terrain abused like that, but that was perfect.
That is cool too, because I think they outrange the feedback just barely due to the terrain there. Either way, the Templars weren't in position for it, but this fight coming down is gonna be a pretty big deal. Abducts one of the hallucinations. Always frustrating to realize that happens, but he's got to just back away the Roaches, and that kind of opens the doorway here to the natural. There's still some Storm Footing available. The Archons are still strong here on the front lines, and the Locusts are finally getting involved with the fight.
He needs the like the storms are still there. He really has to depend on the Locusts to like, but he needs to buy so much time. The Locusts need a lot of time to actually do their damage, and first he's gonna roll over so much of JaeDong's like economy and production.
I mean, JaeDong was going for that start behind, because I think he knew this push was coming, and he knew he was going to need Corruptors or Mutas or something other than just Roaches, but the timing doesn't work out for him, and his whole army just gets obliterated. Still keeping up the supply. The 33 more Roaches are going to spawn, but into Colossus Fire, into Archons.
Yeah, he may just cancel them to natural. I don't know.
I kind of feel like that would be a better use of that money. Yeah, maybe use it on Mutas or something. I mean, he does start canceling them. Man, you never see Zerg player cancel eggs, but good move there out of JaeDong. Harassing the main, picking up once again that Warp Prism has still never really been cleared out of this game. It's always been a constant threat. But with the Roaches spawning again in the numbers of like 30s, he deals with the Zealots pretty effectively. But it's still, the question remains for this army. I feel like if First stays here, he is going to get swamped. He is going to get overrun. It's just, there might just be too many units.
But he deals so much damage, and he's on 5 bases, and he's still harassing. He's the one that still has a bank. I feel like JaeDong depended too much on Vipers in a defensive position. When you're on offense, you always have that time bought just by retreating to like, you know, okay, that didn't work out. Let me like switch to mute or something like that. But when they're at your